other people 62 and you're dead.
Yep, seen a lot of that lately. Friends, not only that I was in high school with, but were behind me in high school died. My mother's 101 though.
Oh, God bless.
Oh,
Sharp as a
That's
tack.
impressive. Wow.
and I called my wife.
Scary.
I personally, I mean, I just don't see me living
Oh, I live in College.
there. Unless in good health.
We'll see.
That's impressive though.
It's 6:30. Harry, could you lead us in the pledge, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Harry. All right, first item is swear in returning members.
So can I have Mr. Bajoon, Mr. Sargent, and Mr. Gilbert stand up and raise their right hand? And go ahead and read off of the oath of office for me. You can read it all together if you'd like.
I, Matthew Gilbert, do solemnly swear or affirm
That I will faithfully execute the duties of the office
of the
of the
Planning
Planning
Commission
Commission
of the City of
Lake Jackson
and to the
and of
State of
the State of
Texas,
Texas,
to the best of
and
my
I
ability,
will, to the best of my ability,
Constitution and laws of the
preserve,
State of
protect, and
Texas,
defend
as well as
the
God.
Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Awesome. And then you can sign it. You can turn it to me at the end of the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You got it, sir.
Did that take care of all that?
Yes, sir.
Reorganized board.
No applause? Thank you.
Do we need to do
You
this?
deserve it. You've been here long enough.
Yeah, just sign it.
The pass, first thing is somebody nominate somebody to be chairman, so do that and then we'll go from there.
I nominate Locke Sanders to be chairman.
We have a nomination.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, who hadn't been secretary lately?
Lately, I guess.
You're secretary now, right?
Yeah, I was just recently appointed.
I guess I haven't been lately. You were last term before him.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that, okay.
And then, so, we can appoint, has John been it ever? Don't show up, you get appointed something.
What all we gotta do, secretary
Well, yeah,
and?
he ran, I remember this, he did.
Secretary.
Secretary and vice chairman. He was vice chairman the last time you weren't here.
How about Joe?
Yeah, Joe, been anything yet? Make Joe vice chairman and you be, secretary?
Sure, that's fine.
All right, important stuff's done, we can go home now.
All right. Man, it's still a good time
All
for
my
dinner.
stuff's approved, I'm ready.
Oh, that, yeah, forgot about that.
Approval of minutes, anybody have any more errata on that?
No, they all look good.
Minutes are approved as read. Visitors' comments, rules of the road, if you have anything to say now that's not on the agenda, come up and say, we can't do anything about it, we can hear you talk. If you come up and stop talk, please state your name and address for the records being recorded and all that stuff. All right, first item, discuss and consider administrative review of preliminary replat of Parkway Plaza subdivision and Plantation Village subdivision, section 4, located at this way.
That would be me. Doug Raisler with Baker and Lawson Engineers. Y'all all know Rick Clark, who asked us to subdivide this Parkway Plaza. I put some staple stuff on your desk. Parkway Plaza had lots 1, 2, and 3. And I don't know if Thelston has that, but
Yes, we did.
I
We
think.
didn't check that. We didn't review it now.
Well, no, okay, and I'll explain this to these guys. I'm not. Yeah, just show the big picture so they'll know what's going on. If you can. It doesn't matter, either one of them. Okay. You can see north there is going that way. This is this way, right here. This is Ricochet's, right here. That's Rick Clark's office, and this is it called the Boiling Pot? I think that's what it's called. That's the restaurant there, on this way. And these are, it's what?
Swamp shack.
Swamp Shack. What'd I say?
I don't know.
Well, I was
I don't
close.
know where that
It's,
came from.
it's something that I wouldn't eat because it's too spicy. Anyway, it has 2 lease office spaces here. So this is Parkway Plaza. This is Lot 1. These 2 buildings are Lot 2, and the original plat, Lot 3, was all of this. Rick has a person that wants to buy Ricochet's, okay? I'm not sure what they're gonna do with it, but they wanna buy it. So Rick asked us to replat it, and so his office is Lot 3A, which is this one, will be. And then Ricochet's is gonna be this bigger one here. Okay? And so we presented a plat to staff about, just to replat these Lot 3 into 2 tracts. And Sal probably told me at some time, it's like my wife, I don't listen sometimes. And he said, you need to do a site development plan and landscape plan for all of Parkway Plaza, because we're divvying it up. And Parkway Plaza, I'm not sure what the date was. It was Ron Walker was the architect that did it back in the day. And so it had all the parking and all the landscaping, and everything was approved. But Sal wanted, all of this was approved as a Parkway Plaza landscape site development plan.
2004.
2004? Okay. And so we're coming back. We thought we were simply replatting these 2 lots, but now we've submitted some plans. The staple thing I put in front of you, Sal got today, so he hadn't reviewed it. Don't look at it too close, because I'll get with Sal, we'll work that out. And the parking is still the same. The trees, we may have to plant a tree if some of them died. We'll figure that out. But the green space is good. Everything's good, okay, for the site development and landscape plan for everything, in my opinion. And again, staff hadn't reviewed it, but we can work through that as we can. Rick has a buyer that's anxious to buy, and we can't approve anything tonight because it's not an agenda item, so to speak. And so I don't know what Sal's schedule is, but I would like to have a special meeting in a week or 2 just to approve the plat and the site development and the site landscaping. Because it's kind of a simple project, because nothing's changed. It's just administrative type things. And so I'm here just to tell you what's going on and see if we can't move up the approval of this prior to July, whatever the first Tuesday is, for Rick Clark to close his sale. And that would be my request, other than giving y'all this general information. And it'd be up to y'all if y'all feel like y'all can get a quorum together, or you're not interested or whatever. But and Sal, he hadn't seen this, he just got it today. So that's kind of where we're at with this.
Yeah, we had a previous conversation, and I told him what was lacking in order to get this thing through for approval, and it's still, as a matter of fact, is the way it's in the agenda, it is for approval, administrative review, or preliminary for that matter, approval for the plat, but, and the reason given, or the reason that I gave is the fact that I really didn't see any major stumbling block on what he is supposed to be doing, which is, I think this is his attempt to do that. This particular site plan, the one that was approved in 2004 for the overall plaza, had contained a number of parking spots. that was required for the type of business use that was there. It is still the same use, I imagine it's the same, still the same use. I don't know is it gonna be used for a different, use?
You talking about Ricochet?
Ricochet?
I'm not sure. I asked Rick and he wasn't sure what they were gonna do with it.
Okay, the
It
problem-
might be a restaurant,
And
but,
that's the
but
problem.
whatever they do,
Yeah,
I mean, they're limited by the amount of spaces we've got here, you know,
yes, correct.
and
And
it's-
that's one thing that needs to be at least put out there as part of the discussion by the board, is, yes, number of parking spots there now, limit this thing for a specific type of use, but there are, there's gonna be attempts to change it to higher density use, restaurant, for example. The way it is right now, if it were to keep, the same type of use, there wouldn't be any problem whatsoever. It may be even good for restaurant use, given the fact that you have all the parking spots in there.
mhm.
You have a shared area, that was part of the original site plan. You allowed a cross-access parking sharing between all those three lots. And they assigned the area, did you point out that area there that, where the cross-parking sharing was?
Well, I had, sorry. Well, it was really, in the original 2004, all of the parking was shared, basically.
Yes, and it still is.
And it still is.
It still is.
And
It's on the
so-
site plan.
And so we have more spaces than needed for what's there now. What would happen if this became something more dense, or they would have to come back and visit with you all about that. Yeah, I'm talking about changing Ricochets from what it is now to something more
You don't
dense.
have one?
But Sal, Eddie pointed out that we need, on our plat, we need to show an access to this lot over here.
Okay, so you.
Because they have it from here,
Uh,
but they don't have
This
it from here.
particular area right here, that is dashed out, is the shared common area for all the lots here.
Okay,
That's the way it.
that's the way it was originally?
That's the way the site has it right now.
I couldn't figure it out looking at the old
And
plan.
that's the reason why you follow, or somebody followed this particular
Mhm.
this lot line. So this still will remain as a common shared
Yeah.
parking area that will service all these areas. And there will be enough. This one over here, by themselves, the lot itself will have enough parking
Mhm.
to do something there, whether it be a restaurant, I don't know, but for whatever use, it's pretty well, provided for.
Right, and so the Ricochet's lot again is this right there. So it has all these parking spaces dedicated to it. These are shared, like Sal was saying.
So that's the reason why I didn't hesitate to at least give a tentative, approval as a, administrative review plan. And then he approached me this weekend about, well, said, do you mind if I ask for a special meeting? I said, no, it's not for me to say no. You go in there and you ask the board and see what the board feels like. You know, it's a matter of schedules. And I said, go ahead and do whatever you need to do.
And so I can work with Sal and staff, and if any issues, we can fix them. But it's up to y'all if y'all could have a special meeting for this item. I'm not sure if this is nothing on the agenda to approve. This is general
Well,
administrative
no,
review.
there's the item as administrative review.
Okay.
Approval, correct. Discuss and consider action. They may wanna take action, they can put it into a special meeting or whatever.
Say again, Doug, when you need to have, what's your timeline?
Well, Rick has a buyer, and he's anxious. And he was upset with me because we didn't have our landscape plan and site development in there in time for this meeting, which I didn't realize or forgot. And so if we could have one in a week or 2 weeks, it'd be nice, but it's, I'm just asking.
I like my steak medium rare.
I can handle that.
At the
We
future
have,
restaurant that's gonna
we
be
have
there.
steak night at my house in College Station every Friday.
Matt, you have anything else to,
No, no, I don't see any issues with it.
Harry?
I wouldn't be able to do next Tuesday though.
No, because we don't have a landscape.
I don't guess I
It
have
was that,
anything.
we only have a plan. No, the plan is up, yes.
Jeff?
No, the plan.
I don't have anything. I will be gone starting Monday, the 13th, and won't return till the 28th. So you'll have to get one of the other members to make a quorum if it's before then.
John will not be here until after the July meeting, so.
And we don't know about Joe or,
Joe, he said depending on his health, but I think he had, resigned,
Oh, you resigned?
yeah, due to
Did
his
you just
health.
name him?
Did we,
I thought it was John that y'all named as
Did you
vice chair.
name?
Joe
Joe?
is vice
Joe?
chair.
Oh, I heard John, I'm sorry.
Oh, we didn't know
Yeah.
he resigned.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no.
Joe resigned?
Yes,
Who did?
Mr. Reinhardt.
Joe
Did
Reinhardt
re-
resigned.
Did resign, okay, didn't know about that.
While we're on this, we wanna switch to John on the vice chair real quick?
Sorry, I misheard.
If that's why you got it written, we'll
Yeah,
just stay with it as written.
Okay.
Alright, we'll take it.
We would have corrected it when we read it, but that's, all right, well, that creates a problem for you.
I understand.
I mean, I'll be back Sunday, Monday is the 27th. I would be available the 28th.
But you wouldn't have gotten that too far.
Yeah.
Cause
I can sit over there and vote. I'm not on the board.
Vinay, do we have anybody in the wings to take Joe's place, do you know?
He just resigned today.
Looks like we need to steal Shannon BR from the Traffic Commission.
Is there any chance we could have somebody appointed by?
I bet I could have
It
him up here in
wouldn't be
20 minutes.
Until the next council.
since you don't get to vote on
Yeah.
it, you can't do anything.
I don't get to vote.
When's the next council meeting?
He's on.
Council can take action on next meeting if it's on the agenda. So we could probably have somebody appointed.
Can he be on the agenda that fast, or?
Because, I mean, you've got applications, the people that I guess,
Yeah,
you
we'll
know.
have some applications.
Let's tentatively schedule one, with the hope that we'll have something, let's see.
Or Jeffrey could cancel his vacation. That's not a very good
That
look.
really wouldn't help Mr. Clark out either. Because I can be quite persuasive.
I understand.
Does the 21st work for you, Doug?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if we could have a meeting without a quorum though. To appoint a new person, they won't be member already.
Well, we could,
That's something we have to check with
When is y'all's next meeting?
On the 20th.
2 weeks from.
Oh, on the 20th.
Yes.
oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's looking bleak. Okay.
Save
Understand.
us things, push it to the 28th when Jeff's back. He'll be back
Let me,
28th.
I'll talk to Rick and I'll take that and, you know, the 28th or
The 5th.
the 6th or whatever that is, that's not but a week, you know.
Yeah, the 5th, yeah, would be
It'll
the,
be the
yeah.
6th
We
It'll
can
be
do
the
it all
6th
in
because of
one.
Monday.
Sal, we can do it all in one thing, right? We can do
I
all
need to
the-
move this
Do it
one.
all in one package.
Let me, before I put you all that trouble, let me talk to Rick, see if, and 28th would be better than the 5th, or anything is better, I guess. But let me get back, I'll get with Sal.
Okay.
And,
the 21st would be better.
but
No,
they
that's
can't
not
get
gonna
a
happen.
quorum by then,
Yeah.
see? So,
We can't get Joe back in here for a little bit? No.
scratch his name off. Okay,
He's been
No
a
telling-
hero
No telling
coming
how
to
much
as
the
many
value
meetings as he
will run up
has.
in next week anyway.
well, that's true. You're right, Harry.
Yeah, again, the council has to accept the resignation.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
Well, hold it, he's not officially
You'll show
resigned.
him.
Yeah, but if that guy didn't show up, it's probably for good reasons.
Absolutely.
Even
To
this,
see-
even the steak at your house on Friday night, which I'll be there about 7:30, isn't going to pull him out because
Okay.
that's a
In
tough-hearted man
College
right
Station,
there.
that
College
would be-
Station, right down the street. He lives in
one
the same
reason I
neighborhood
do
as my brother. He doesn't know I know that.
All right.
All right, do we have a
Sir?
motion on this?
I mean, okay. Thanks,
We
guys. I
apologize. I mean,
appreciate
you know,
y'all
we
considering
if
it.
we had
I'll-
the people, we'd do it.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate y'all considering that for this project. And I'll call about the 28th and see if it's a benefit to abuse y'all for a special meeting or not. Okay,
Sal, do you need something approved by us on this now, or just
No,
wait?
no, we'll just pass it on.
And do it all
first
at-
and final reading.
Yeah, it's- yeah.
Preliminary
Per-
and final.
yeah,
Okay.
next meeting preliminary.
We'll
final.
file it for the,
And if possible,
if
we'll have
everything meets the
Yeah.
conditions.
a early
Okay,
meeting.
thank you, Locke. Okay, thanks, guys.
Okay. And
Appreciate it.
I'm back to 28th. I could be here the 28th.
Are you gonna vote on the plat to the side?
No, they're gonna pass.
We'll do it all at once.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thank-
Make a mad day.
All right. Sorry.
Be careful.
Have a good night. Be safe.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right, next item, discuss, consider, and take action on the administrative review, site plat, Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
So that's my project, Joe McManus. And basically what we're doing is,
Give your address.
oh, my address is, I gotta think of which address.
You can give a local address.
Okay, 125 FM 2004, Lake Jackson, Texas. I believe it's 77566. Right. So what we plan on doing is building 4 buildings.
Use your pointer there,
Oh.
Joe, if you want to.
Okay. Okay. So what we plan on doing is building 4 buildings at the Regal Storage down where the bowling alley used to be. And they would be behind the existing facility that I have now. The 4 buildings would consist of these 3 buildings here, and this building right here for RVs and boats. These 3 buildings are the same 3 buildings that we expanded the storage facility behind Target. If you know where the Target is, behind the Target there, I guess about 6-7 years ago, we put these 3 same size buildings there, and that's what we plan on doing behind the facility down there by the bowling alley, except for this extra building right here, which would just be 14 boat and RV spaces. So that's it. You won't really see these from the road, and all concrete, same as what you see behind the Target now. And Sal, you've been working with the architect, Marcel. When was the last time that has he sent you something recent on the plat? He said he's trying
He
to,
did not send the plat.
he doesn't have the plat yet, but he's giving you the latest update on that?
No, he did not, okay, you want me to just,
Yeah, take it from here.
Yeah.
That does look like it, though, now that I see that detention pond there.
yes, it does, that's the latest one that he sent.
Right, and that's it.
What Joe said was, it's really the meat and potatoes of this, this is another one of those that we call, or we define as administrative reviews, because typically this thing came in, I mean, it should have come in as a one-site overall plan, because that's the way it was approved. And the way it was submitted to us for the time being, during this administrative one, they only sent that portion that you see up in the screen there, which is only for the expansion there. The overall site plan should have included the phase 1 which is the existing building there. Just as a matter of information of what it is that they're proposing to do, not only now, but in the future is, we required them that they put in a detention basin. And originally, we had discussed that detention basin with them, and we were trying to negotiate a deal there. It really didn't work, but I think it came out just as better for everyone concerned. I believe, that's my personal feeling, is that the basin that has been right now proposed, the detention basin, and that's what I'm referring to, is now being proposed not only to serve phase 2, but also a future phase if Joe ever decides to expand even further to his last piece of property, which is still another 4 acres, 4-acre tract there. So, and what I said that would, we had a discussion originally where we would create this particular protection, call it road, for flooding purposes in the rear of the property, which is what is shown there as a flood protection easement. And they decided to go a different route for their own benefit, for their own cost benefits. Even though they lost ground, they were still able to provide their detention needs, and also at the same time providing that protection structure for us. So we are not at all, I mean, we are really being benefited by this particular type of development there. We can't really, I mean, we can approve the way it's written in the agenda now as a administrative review approval with, once they provide us all the overall site plan with all the different, with all the information that this particular development now has created as far as parking, as far as whatever the impact is on the property. But this is what Joe was saying, that he might have sent us something more recently that would have done that, but they hadn't done that one. So at this particular time, we're asking, let me give you a little bit more information on the site itself. As you remember, this site had to be raised up to the requirements of our administrator, or drainage administrator. And this one follows the same suit there. It will be done to the same type of elevation requirements. And he'll expand on that drainage discussion a little bit further. One of the things that hasn't changed here, and it's something that you need to either bring up and discuss among yourself, is the parking. The parking hasn't changed to what it is right now in phase 1. So, question is, it's working right now in phase 1. This only adds more storage area. So, is that, do you see any need for expansion of parking? That'd be one of the things that you're gonna have to consider. There's also minor utility extensions here in order to service these particular buildings. One is a sanitary sewer system that will collect the what is it?
Air conditioning.
Yeah, correct. And also provide extensions to a fire hydrant in order to have the fire hydrant protection that we require.
That fire hydrant we have now, is at the very end of the property. And when you measure it, it's to code.
Okay, according to, and you might be able to put that across to the fire marshal.
Okay,
The fire marshal does not think so. So
okay.
it's a matter of you you know,
Right,
proving to him that that's the case.
all right.
Where is the fire extinguisher?
The fire hydrant is right,
The fire hydrant is in,
Use
right
it?
there.
yeah,
That's the existing one,
that's
okay.
existing one.
Right
Will it
there.
serve the purpose for the other?
According to the fire marshal, it doesn't. That's the reason
It
why
does
we
not?
flagged it, for it to be extended a little bit,
Right.
somewhere in there to be able to cover that 300-foot radius.
Because, you know, that fire hydrant is a lot further than the next fire hydrant is compared to the back of the property that we want to expand, so, you know,
And get your engineer to talk to our fire marshal, and if he can convince us otherwise, then there
Okay.
won't be any problem.
all right.
What did you say about sanitary sewer, though?
Sanitary sewer is gonna be there to get the AC drip, I guess.
And there's no way we can recapture that and use it for the landscaping? The little bit of AC, no way. So it goes to sanitary no matter
It goes
what,
to sanitary.
because there's no bathrooms back
Correct.
there. Right. And as far as parking, cars do park there, you know,
Right.
next to their units.
Yeah, we
Right,
talked
so-
about that before.
So it's all concrete.
Right. Seemed like we only worried about parking around the office area, and this doesn't have any additional.
No, but I have it at the office.
Right, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So I'm just putting those items the way they are in relation to the existing one and to this proposed one, you know, and it's up to you to
I'm
see.
still that sanitary sewer is for the air conditioning drain?
Yep.
You have to have sanitary sewer for the office
According
drain.
to the building code, yes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And we have to have pumps. We're gonna have to have a pump for that sanitary, Sal. If we put a,
To shoot it over?
Yeah. that's what I've been told.
Yeah, that is strange that you can't just go into the detention pond, but
Because there's no pressure on it, you know, so it won't
Right.
get there.
You know?
there's gravity.
Huh?
Talk to the building official.
They possibly would consider something like that for using it for landscaping?
You need a
Can
pump,
determine
you've
whatever
got
you purpose
gravity.
for the code, you know.
And that's going down to 7.5 feet, so depth.
That's not,
Oh, no, there's enough drop to be able to
Right.
drain into it. There's no two ways about that. It's just a matter of code.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be able to present it as going into a cistern for
They-
irrigation. and-
Right.
it dates back to the freon leak into the water and the cooling systems, why they don't do that.
I'm sorry?
It dates back to the freon leak in a system. That's why they put into a sanitary line instead of having it drip outside your house. But your overflow is not designed to be used constantly like a lot of houses use.
I don't know, free
Well,
on.
as a matter of fact, we got the building code man here. I wasn't aware that you were here.
A pop test.
They're not freon, yeah. Free.
You were quiet. What did you say?
Would you like me to jump up and shout hooray? Present, you know, to answer the question, it's something I'd have to look at. It has not been presented to me like that. I don't necessarily know. It's not addressed in the mechanical code itself, but there might be something in TCQ regulations that I'll have to look at. But while the idea is definitely something that is worth pursuing, let's see if we can find an answer so that we can make sure we're barking up the right tree.
Yeah, it's outdated. It's from the old systems. No house has those systems anymore that you have to worry about leaking in that water. But
And we don't have Freon anymore,
Yeah,
because we have something
exactly,
similar,
yeah.
but, right.
that's what it dates back to is those systems.
Okay.
I'm
So-
curious why you don't expand those other two buildings back to the same length, just curiosity.
Pulling in the
Is that
boats
all
and
that
campers.
Good question.
That's what I assume.
Sprinklers,
Sprinklers.
yeah. Those last ones were, you know, $250,000, and they inspect them every year, and that, they, and they charge
Fire
you,
code issue.
Yeah,
you know,
and so if they were longer, you'd have to have more of a sprinkler?
over 8,000 feet, and those are under 8,000.
I'll be dog.
79999. I don't know.
79, 98. Yeah.
Bureaucracy is great.
Yeah, it's slow.
You know, and that's the thing. They had us put sprinklers in the units that
I
we
can
built,
understand
you know,
that,
all those. And many of them have two, I think 10 by 15 or 10 by 20. They have two sprinklers. And my son started out, he lived there when we opened.
Right, I remember that.
And, but for an apartment, not necessary. You don't put them in, you know, no one lives in those things. No one, you know, there's hours you can have to be in there and you have to be out. It's all on camera. But we had to put sprinklers there for people that store their stuff. You know, even in the climate and on the outside also, but not in the apartments or the office.
You don't wanna protect your son?
That's residential, yeah. It's curious, I remember your son living, for some reason I visited him. Can't remember what that was about. But
After that
I remember
party,
y'all
that
saying you
party?
always had to have someone there. And then every other storage unit comes along and says, oh, we don't need anybody living there.
Jeff, anything?
No, I don't have anything.
Harry?
No.
Matt?
I'm just curious why the detention pond is shallower than before.
Whatever calculates.
Yeah, in 2014, they put it at 1-2 slope at 8.5 feet. Now it's at a 1-3 slope at 7.5 feet.
It's a lot larger.
Yeah.
You see, see, this is the one that's there now. Just looking at it. I thought this other one was,
No, I wasn't talking about that one. I'm talking about the big boy at the bottom.
right, this is the one we have now.
Yeah, I'm looking at your 2000.
So this is quite a bit larger than that one.
Yeah, I understand. I'm looking at your two drawings. You have one here from 2014. That is at 8.5 feet on a 1-2 slope, which was engineered, and now your 2022 plan that has out-of-date names on it has a 7.5 foot.
That'd be Velasco.
Right.
The detention?
No.
He was asking the depth.
No, that's Mr. Sanchez.
Okay. I don't know, but we have it,
Why is it shallower?
What drawing you looking at?
You guys gave it to me right here, boys.
It's right there. He was wondering why it's only 7 feet, whereas this one here, what is that one?
Yeah, I don't remember that being that deep.
It's probably
Six
has
and a
to
half
do with
foot.
the outflow.
Yeah.
This ditch is much shallower over here than that ditch over there.
But
With-
so
I'm
overall,
just curious what changed in the last 8 years.
I don't remember that being.
Yeah, it's in our pack right here.
Um,
And it says 8.5 feet.
south and
And it-
south,
Yeah, this is when Vinay was on here, Brenda Colgrove,
But-
John Fay.
But you do have, as someone said, square footage
Mhm.
and volume, right, that makes a difference, in there.
No, I know that. I'm going off y'all's drawing. I want to know what changed in that drawing to this drawing that you guys signed off on. Why is it a foot shallower?
Mr. Sanchez has gotten mellower over the years.
Yeah, that's what, here.
Now, why this one that's been proposed?
Yeah, the newest version is shallower than the older
Okay,
version.
I said, I'm just looking at it too, because you have no
I
surface
don't
area.
think it does any good.
That,
Can't get it final.
when it
You gotta
comes
come,
down
they
to
gotta come
the
back anyway.
volume,
Mm-hmm.
Just do it
I know
all.
that.
right,
Smooth.
so where's that slim converter?
But
But it doesn't-
I'm not talking about the slim one. I'm not talking about the slim one. You guys are not listening. This
understand
is right here. Come look, please. Come here. Come here.
Went down there and small-
2014.
I'm neighbors.
2014, 8.5 feet. 2022, 7.5 feet.
Okay, to start with, you didn't
Yeah.
approve anything in 2014.
That's why I'm asking why this is attached then. 'Cause it-
I believe they just.
Same square footage.
What they did was to use a plat
Different site plan.
that was prepared in 2014, and they just superimposed this new design on that plat that was, right?
Yeah, so
the
this
plat was called for this drainage easement here,
Mm-hmm.
right? But as far as approving, this is the first time we are actually
Okay.
looking and approving.
So I'm just curious, what engineering would have changed for that number to go down somewhat?
No engineering, because again, we didn't
No?
even look at that. This is the first time that this is being officially looked at. So my guess is that they use a plat
Yeah, and then,
that was approved and they superimposed their proposed stuff.
gotcha.
And that drawing didn't change the date and it didn't take off the
yeah,
seal.
same names
So,
and
but
everything.
this in question is the official one that is on the screen.
Okay.
Right, so that's where you kinda got me there.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at this one back here, and you guys are talking about detention pond. This is supposed to feed to it, but it's shallower. With less volume too. You keep using that V word. It has less volume, so
But look at the small print, it says depth elevation 7.45.
depth elevation with the average depth. So the depth elevation change.
If you look on the one that they're presenting, it should say 8.55.
No, the one they just gave us here, yeah, 7.5 foot deep.
Was that little pond on
Yeah, I
that one?
saw it. It's a 1 to 2
Other
slope and a
detention
1 to 3
pond
slope,
on
which is
there,
less
that-
volume then.
It was?
They have a.
That's what that's
proposed one.
that's what I'm curious
I think
about
they're
adding.
required to do
Yeah,
1 to
but the
3,
buildings were
just
designed
because
different.
it won't
Be-
It's a whole
flake
different
off.
deal.
Yeah, be-
That's what the,
That's
I
why,
guess maybe this might be an appropriate time for me to address. this.
Yeah, please do, correct.
Is that?
My bad.
fine?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad you pointed out.
Yeah, that's what's confused me. I was just like, wait.
It's not confusing. We've got one thing that's been presented to us. That may have been drafted, but it was never presented to you.
Yeah,
And it may have had our names on it all pretty, but it was never here for a hearing. So let's listen to you talk about what's here today.
yeah, that was different buildings and everything.
Yeah, okay, so if we go back to the original phase 1, and you know it's a little slim, which I thought that's what Matthew was referring to. And I didn't remember that being that deep, so. But anyway, so initially, the first phase, there's been a lot of change in terms of whether this property is in the floodplain or not, right? And I'm saying that because it has some bearingness to my next statement. So the phase 1 was officially not in the floodplain, or to be more specifically in the special flood hazard zone, right? So there was no requirement for them to design to mitigate for loss in floodplain storage back then. So all they did was to mitigate for what you call excess runoff because of the development. So they moved from a fairly impervious to a not so fairly a pervious to a less pervious area, right? And that's what they mitigate for in this very small detention. Fast forward to today, they have another component, actually 2 components now, because it's officially, as of 2020 December, is part of the special flood hazard, this entire area, but except for a little island right here that is in the X zone, right? So with that come, now they gotta mitigate for, continue to, because of the excess runoff from development. That's 1 detention pond. 2, because they're gonna be losing storage in the floodplain, so they got to mitigate for that. And the third one, which is kind of a loosely, yet is really not too problematic, to ensure that they have proper conveyance. They don't have that movement of water coming through. So with that said, as far as it relates to approving for the administrative purpose here tonight, that I haven't really have enough information given to us yet, but just the dimension of the detention pond with the depth. It looks, if you were to compare this little slim detention basin, at least it's more than adequate to address this new development and the phase 3 for excessive runoff detention, right? Got development. Now, is it gonna satisfy also for mitigating for loss of floodplain storage? I would tend to believe so. Again, I don't have all the calcs that was presented to me. The only concern I have is the phase 3, which is something I'm going to stipulate with us that that's included in the overall site plan, at least on master. So we can address that at the same time, so we don't lose sight of that, and then end up have to say, well, you need more, or we're short of it. So again, for administrative purposes, I believe that with this size detention that they're showing, it's adequate. The only problem will be is how we go about to ensure that to compensate for that storage, water has to move in and out, right, for the loss of flood storage. So we gotta carefully design or work with how we're gonna design to combine both the excess runoff for mitigating for excess runoff, and also to mitigate for the loss in the floodplain storage. And I'm saying that because if we're not too careful, and I'm not going to get into the detail, is that we can adversely impact both what we are trying to get them to do for us, the city, with having that berm there, that we could adversely impact them, and vice versa, them adversely impact the floodplain because they will not be able to get the water into the hole per se, even though they have the hole there, that if it's not at the proper elevation and able to have water to move in and move out, right? So there's a lot of little, I already have some different scenarios that I'll be discussing with the engineer, see how we can ensure that at the end of the day that all parties are well served with this detention basin.
That's why that big line around the inside of that pond, something about it, you use cinder blocks. It's a lot sharper than the other one, is what he was telling me. One of the architect or engineer. Does that make sense?
Well, like I said, I need to, right now,
Right.
I'm looking at what has been presented,
Right.
which is 2-to-1 slope, I believe it is, and there's no cinder block sort
Okay.
except for off the,
Well, he said we were gonna use some block,
so,
We'd have to use some block. And, anyway.
but we'll have to figure it.
Yeah, we want it
As I
right.
said, it's mainly, it looks fairly, that it's gonna be adequate. It's just a matter of whether we have the one big basin all sharing for the purpose of, to detain excess runoff, in addition to, accommodate for the loss of storage, or it has to be divided up. There's a different ways we can approach it. So without getting into detail, that's the concern I have.
And we didn't flood at Harvey, which is a pretty nice thing to say.
Yeah, but I would say that when we started phase 1, they were giving us a hard time for the restrictions that we put in, and then they didn't say thank you.
It was like a moat. It was like a moat. If y'all remember that driving down the road, our place, it was,
Yeah, when the flood came and we were right there messing with our pumps and what's not, and you could see the smile in their face.
right. Okey dokey. So did we discuss both numbers?
Well, both items, no, we only discussed the site plan right now, and we'll move on, I mean, they're gonna have to discuss it and take action on that first, on the first item, which is the site plan.
All right, so now the landscape deal.
Jeff,
I don't have anything.
Harry, Matt?
Nope.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the action on the administrative review of the site plan amendment for Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
Second?
Have a second. Any more discussion? Sal, do we need something on there about y'all need more information?
That'd be, I mean, when we file it, we will make them do whatever needs to be done. You don't have to do it right now.
All in favor?
Aye.
We file it.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's move on to the next one. Same property landscape.
Same property landscape, just give you a synopsis of this particular site plan. Of course, we're gonna need also an updated plan, landscape plan for the overall development there. The major points on this particular landscape plan is you remember that this is gonna be elevated just like the other one, so everything's gonna go. Everything that's gonna be, built on is gonna leave.
All the trees.
So we are gonna have to do without a tree survey for that area, okay? And they are proposing to put in what is required as far as number of trees and as far as, number of, open areas, landscaped areas. The detention basin by itself counts as an open area, whether you agree with that definition or not, but that's the way it is. So they will be meeting all the conditions for a landscape plan. There's gonna be an alternate type, this is an alternate, administrative review alternate plan, because there is what is it that's missing on this one, Eddie?
Irrigation or?
Irrigation, I believe, yes.
It's water faucets.
Yes, it's water faucets, it's
Yeah.
not automatic sprinkler. So it will have to go as an alternate plan. I think that's what it is that you've got already started.
Yes.
I appreciate the landscape is where you can see it rather than sticking the back to meet the qualifications, but you can't see them anyway.
Yeah, they did put it in the, of course, where, it impacts the buildings better than anything else. And they also are providing perimeter, landscaping trees, to improve on their view.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Matt? Okay,
Yeah.
Jeff,
I don't have anything, thank you.
do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the administrative review of the alternate landscape plan amendment, specifying the lack of built-in irrigation of the Regal Storage Expansion Phase 2 at 125 FM 2004.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have some documents to sign, I assume? No?
Congrats on the engagement, man.
I'll take them back with me.
Okay.
All right, items of community interest. Jeff?
I just want to say, having it's been an exciting time in our community and in surrounding communities. I was very pleased to see the number of people come out and vote. I always want more people to vote. Love the results in our city. I'm intrigued by what's going to happen in our neighboring city of Angleton, where they're having a runoff for city council after all the runoffs,
That is
because the way the state elections and the county elections are done, they have a runoff for city council in Angleton, and I'll be
After
surprised if they get 100 voters. But it matters anyway. I appreciate all that's going on. The people are trying to get engaged, and I appreciate the opportunity to continue to serve. So I've got a lot of good things going on in town.
Thank you, Jeff. Barry?
I've got a question for, a sign question. Over on the Chamber of Commerce property is a sign that says Comfort Suites.
That is in a easement, in a private easement.
Comfort Suite has one of these keyholes all the way back to the apartments.
Yeah, that's been there a
It's been
while.
there.
Like, since Comfort Suites has been
Yeah,
there.
they just put a new colored sign on it because the revamp, but yeah, it's been there since day one.
At the chamber.
Yeah, in front of it, right there on the edge of
At
it.
the chamber.
Yeah, Mr. Sergeant, I noticed it the other day too, where I had driven past that many times. They have changed the colors and it stands
Okay,
out,
I guess
but
that's why I
but they
noticed.
do have a flag lot right there.
That's interesting.
It's not I think planners, for the most part, try and avoid those types of lots and conditions. However, in some cases, in order to attract a business or to provide a business the best opportunity, it's inevitable that those are created. But yes, they would own that property all the way up until that point, at least for the width of that sign.
I think that's one of our silly ordinances, that you can tell if some's leased versus purchased, whether there's the individual, like on HEB on Oyster Creek, they've got all those signs. Well, that's because I guess they're leased, so they can put all those signs there. And same way at the mall, where if they're privately owned, then you have to have this keyhole thing, so.
Well, it has to, it has to do with the fact
Make it
that,
work.
that,
Make it work.
you know, which parcels are these signs on?
Right.
As far as the HEB one is concerned, the one over here closest to Circle Way, that's a condition of that, PUD, so.
And,
Yeah.
you
Which would
remember
allow
you
for the
also
signs.
approved, that flag top situation at,
Home Depot is another example.
what is it, that hotel?
Yeah, the hotel
Oh,
over there
Wood
with
Springs, yeah.
Holden is, yeah, that's another one of them. It's just, it's,
What's that?
I don't know why
Wood Springs?
Oh, Wood
the
Springs,
city
yeah.
council did that years ago, but we'll blame it on Jim Renfro.
Sure. Last time it was stated that the Harbor Freight was a go.
That's what we heard, and that's what the paper even printed.
So, we have permits for Harbor Freight Tools. They are under construction.
What location?
Yeah, it's in the Old Arlands, on the
There's three-
left-hand
it says
side,
flag.
the
It says
left-hand
three-
side of
There's three
the,
businesses in there.
There's,
Yes.
it's divided up.
Yeah, it's gonna be divided into
Is
three.
it just two?
I thought it was
what
two.
Matt said, it's actually three different tenant spaces. So you have
Three, okay.
Harbor Freight on the
Far
left.
left.
I've seen they worked on parking lots.
And empty grocery stores are hard to fill, and it's
Yeah.
hard to use. So what they've done is
Yeah.
pretty ingenious.
Well done.
Yeah.
Just all the signs down on the highway, that's all. Between Veterans Memorial and Plantation, there's like every one of those damn signs are down and been fenced or, you know, marked off, dead grass. I know that's not us, it's the
I think
state.
Sabrina's people have tried to contact the maintenance department in Angleton, and they just,
They
you
don't
know
like
how
us.
it is.
They don't like us. They must have heard you guys re-up my contract. Yeah, I was driving down the feeder the other day with my daughter. We were been working on driving and all that, and I'm always driving, so I'm not looking at the signs that are on the highway. I look over, it's like almost all this, every sign, even the advertising ones the businesses pay to be on, between Veterans and Plantation heading south,
Has been knocked
are
down.
just knocked down on the grass.
Yeah. So matter of fact, have you seen all that?
It'd be like 20
railing?
grand in signs.
Have you seen that railing on the
Yeah.
side road?
The railing that can impale the first person that walks by it. That's it. That's those guys.
All right. Staff, you got anything? Milford? Sabrina?
Eddie, you
Today?
wanna give your report?
Ooh. Ooh.
He's got
I like
notes.
it. I like reports by Ed.
All right, construction downtown is the big one. That's where I spend most of my day now. They have a lot of construction going on down there in different areas. North Parking Place is doing drainage. That way, they're doing concrete. Circle Way, they're doing subgrade prep. So there's a lot of work going on everywhere. We're finally getting to look like a project instead of a war zone. So it's getting better. They're putting some new concrete down. We have pavers come in next week, hopefully. The subcontractor that's doing behind the curb concrete work is here and started, so he's getting some forms up. So it's gonna start looking more decent. Weisach, Lakewood Manor, the new Lakewood Manor. They're moving along. They've got their water lines in. They lack one more section of water pipe. Nobody foresaw that the water line that they were installing would not fit with the existing water line and existing gas main in the way. It's a really large right-of-way, and we still didn't, I mean, we didn't expect that to happen, but it turns out that's the way it is. So it's been a struggle for them to get the water line in. They've had to shut off sections and install sections while they remove the old pipe and put in the new pipe. Luckily, it's all cast iron pipe, so that can go into metal recycling, and all that keeps moving. They have started some of the drainage work. They removed the city-maintained drainage crossing across Weisach and replaced the pipes with larger pipes and patched the street temporarily, and now they have to come back and patch the street on top. The plan was to install drainage inlet boxes on either side and pour the street at the same time. The further they got into these inlet boxes, the more they realized it didn't make any sense. So now Doug, that was here tonight, is redesigning that and proposing extending the drainage pipes further out so that the sidewalks can go across on a small little bridge rather than having them jog back and forth and have a 6-foot drop off to the bottom of the ditch. So it's under redesign. The vertical builders have met with us out in the field, and they have chosen a spot to set their contract trailer, and they will be calling in for taps here soon. So they're planning on starting to go up here shortly.
Danny, you need to speak about that.
Yes, sir.
It's not on the agenda for tonight, but you might consider putting it on the agenda for the next meeting. We still have not received any construction drawings for the actual residential buildings. And so the planning commission might talk about how far we're gonna allow them to go before we stop work on the project until they can get permits. We have not issued any permits. We have not collected any fees as far as that's concerned. We've just been kind of letting them do their groundwork, but if they're talking about going vertical, that's not something that can happen until we can get those plans, until we can do those reviews, till we can get those permits.
And I agree 100%. Just let them finish my water line first.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're starting on the sidewalk now, so they're finishing up the public utility side, and then they'll come back and begin on the going vertical area. Do you want to talk about the villas? Have you gotten with Billy?
Also,
David knows a little more about
A quick update there. I have not addressed the fallen tree with Billy, but I will do that tomorrow. So the villas, he had his lumber package which came for his walls, and it was 6-7 months behind schedule. His roof package is just as delayed, and I expressed the concern today that you have these walls and sheathing up, and you might have them braced and you might have them anchored to the concrete, but you still don't have a complete structural diaphragm that's going to withstand wind loads should we get a storm. He's very aware of that. I have asked him to provide me a timeline as far as his construction schedule, when he expects to have those roof structures on, because right now I see a high potential for wind damage to the buildings, and unfortunately some catastrophe should we get a storm in, and I don't have a complete diaphragm. I've just got these big sails sitting there that are going to be subject to all kinds of unnecessary loading and stress. If we get a storm, I imagine he'll be tearing down a good portion of them and replacing them just because they're not properly braced at this time.
Yes, sir. The only other, well, I guess the Arlen's building we were talking about, they're getting close now. They're trying to get everything cleaned up so they can get the civil portion and everything that you guys approved, landscape and site plan, taken care of, and start getting tenants in there. 101 Winding Way, Building B, that site plan and landscape plan that just won't go away. They're getting close to wrapping that up as well. They're getting the outside taken care of. They got the dumpster enclosure put in last week. It didn't work. Today they took it apart, put it back together. It works now. We'll check it in the morning and make sure our I guess the morning, just to make sure our commercial truck driver can get in and get the dumpster out. And we got a new one yesterday, day before, Gateway Apartments. We spoke with the engineer earlier today, told him that needs to come back for you guys to look at the site and landscape plans again. It was approved in '98. We didn't have the same requirements we do now, but he's gonna try to get it as close to our updated requirements as possible. They have new owners. They're doing some upgrades to the amenities, upgrades to the apartments, and part of that is new landscaping around their buildings. A lot of the old trees that were on the original landscape plan have died off. We told him he needs to preserve the green belt, or that's coming right back to you with our report to you that green belt has gone away. Some people like it, some people don't like it. It's gonna be another discussion if they want to change it. I'm hearing the same thing on the Walnut project already, this Villas project. There's new residents there that don't understand why we have to have that natural area behind their house. They bought it and they were told it was gonna be cleared, and now it's not cleared. That's a whole nother, that's the other can of worms that David was talking about, talking to Billy about. There's some trees that are now leaning over the fence. Smaller trees that were protected by the larger trees that were there. Some of those larger trees came down, some of the smaller trees are swinging back and forth and have landed over on the fence. They're small trees on a fence. They're just gonna get bigger and grow further into the people's yard. They want the apartment owner to maintain them. The apartment owner is scared to touch them because they don't want to be back here again. So we need to have a conversation with Billy about that and where their maintenance starts and stops on that area. So yeah, the Gateway is getting remodeled, revamped, and we'll be coming back to you with an updated site plan and landscape plan because of the money that they're spending on it. The other project that I don't like to talk about is downtown in the North Canopy, North Parking Place canopy removal. We're at a standstill again. If anybody asks, we're waiting for metal. Materials are just getting harder and harder to get, and sheet metal is one of those materials. There were some changes to the canopy design when we opened everything up. There were some alterations we had to do. Some pieces of metal were stretched a little longer than we originally thought. Those had to be reordered. We ordered originally in January, received them in April, ordered the second batch of modified ones in March, and we should be receiving them later this month. So we're hoping to have that done by July, but we've been hoping a long time.
Is that expansion of the canopy or?
No, so that's on North Parking Place, over
Oh,
by the,
North Parking Place,
yeah.
okay.
by the old, what was that, Garrett's Pond or something there?
Yeah.
That canopy there that was in bad shape, we took it down and we put up just a little green metal wall up on top to cover up where we took the canopy down. But they're having trouble getting it green. It's just white Tyvek right now, and we're trying to get that metal in. You guys have any questions on any projects or anything you see going on?
I saw you and Sal standing in the middle of the road downtown. I thought, wow.
We do that a
all the
lot.
brain.
I was lost.
Concentrated in one spot.
We got
He's wandering
stuck.
around.
I don't recognize anything. Where am I?
He was missing from office and he went to.
Did you click the panic button?
I know it's been a challenge. You got a lot going on. I've been appreciative when I go into businesses where it's like, and I see that it looks like a lot of our citizens are trying to go to businesses where
Yep.
it's kind of hard to get to them.
Yep.
And so,
It is, yeah, it's tough. Luckily, this contractor is good at creating ramps and putting in temporary asphalt sidewalks and everything to try to keep people moving through there. They don't complain about it, they just do it, and it's nice to have a contractor like that. Not that we don't have other contractors like that, but this is a new contractor, and we didn't know what we were getting when we signed up with them, but they have turned out to be very responsive with that.
I think it's also a sign of the citizens of Lake Jackson that they're not, I don't hear a lot of complaints
No.
about what's going on because they know the end result will
Exactly.
be good. So they're,
Even the business owners at first did not like this idea, and they fought everything we did, and every time we needed to change something, turn off water, change direction of traffic, it was complaint after complaint, and now they're finally coming around and they're seeing the new product
What's
and
gonna
saying,
happen.
you know what, this is gonna be really nice when we get done. And all of a sudden, all the pain is worth it, and they're finally starting to come around.
hang in there. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Felson? Sal?
You heard it?
Anna?
No, sir.
When's our next official meeting unless we have it earlier?
July 6th, if the tentative one for the June 28th doesn't come through. And Vinay has something.
Renee?
Just to further elaborate on what I was telling you, Chairman, that on the agenda item for the item F, Dr. Modesto and he talked to Cherry, and it says discuss and consider, it doesn't say take action, but you can take an action on approving it preliminary if that would help them.
Run that by me again?
It would have to come back as a final later date, but you could today take action,
We could have,
right?
but they chose not to and just take it as it.
Okay, I'm just letting you know that after
And what I-
talking to Sherry and Modesto, and they said we could, if you wanted to, if the commission wanted to help them, since we can't have a meeting, take an action on preliminary approval, plat, and then do the final later.
And what I'm hearing is to make it so that Mr. Clark has a better chance of selling it
Right,
to these people to be able to
Right.
do that.
right. So I didn't talk to Sherry, but Modesto did, and she is confident that even though doesn't say discuss, consider, and take action, that you guys can take action on it for preliminary approval
And
for
in
replat.
reality, Councilman, I don't know what happened to that take action. It was supposed to have been there. Either I didn't put it in there or it was dropped. it
But
was-
just
it
to let
was
you
an
know
action
what my
item.
discussions were,
Yeah.
so you guys, they're
Yeah.
deciding if you want to wait till the next
No, and
meeting.
you can see item G. Item G relates to the same thing. And I did put take action. So somewhere along the line, it got dropped.
But like I said, you can, if your commission wants to do that, you can to help them out. So that's up to you guys.
But we can take
But you
preliminary and
can- you
final
can-
together.
Yeah.
But what I think he's saying, and because I saw you go out, what I think we're trying to do is because of the delays caused maybe a little bit by Mr. Clark and by his engineer, he's got a buyer. If it helps signal to the buyer that we're considering it, we're not approving anything on final, but we can and it's on the agenda, we can do a preliminary approval.
You wanna make a motion?
Sure. I move that we give for preliminary approval for preliminary replat of Parkway Plaza subdivision in Plantation Village subdivision, section 4, located at this way.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're good.
Would you give it on landscape also? Oh, this is the replat.
Just the replat.
Sorry about that. yes.
Okay.
If there's nothing else, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
y'all.
sir.
Saving the day on the sideline. What a badass. Man, you're good, Vinay.